1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. You may find fortune, you may find fame. If anyone asks, you know who to blame. It's Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. I did a little presentation with my sister's third grade class once where we chose a song that everybody knew. Back then it was Imagine Dragons, Radioactive, Radioactive. And I asked the kids to just brainstorm as many different styles of music as they could come up with. And it was really fun because people said rock and roll, pop, opera. Somebody said romantic music. And we just got a list of 20 different genres. And then I performed the chorus to Radioactive in all of those different genres as possible. So maybe we'll do that with Dr. Zollatti's guitar game, because I've already done this in different keys and different styles. Like there's Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. You may find fortune, you may find fame. If anyone asks, you know who to blame. It's Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. Except I gotta remember the chords. That part. 1, 2, 3, Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. You can imagine. It's Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. Okay, we're not going to do any more of that. So, yes, welcome to take 2. I was just kind of waiting for folks to get the notifications that we're live here, and I am going to monitor Facebook and YouTube today to make sure that I'm actually streaming and continuing to stream. I've been having some troubles with Wi-Fi interruptions. It was interesting, on Facebook it just kept kicking off and on, and yet when I went back to the YouTube archive it was still it was all there in one segment. So okay, there we are, we're up on YouTube. I don't know what to make of it. Okay, so there we are on Facebook, and there we are on Facebook. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to race through this slideshow, like I said in the notes there. Now I'm set up so that I'm using this computer for the live streaming. I'm using my iPad to feed into it, and I'm using my MacBook Air, which I need to mute so I don't hear me coming back at myself 15, 20 seconds later. So mute that, and we should be good. Okay, yes, this should be a lot smoother than last time. I'm just going to go through from the intro and see if I can just transition from one to the next as quickly as possible. And in the future, I'll be doing this a lot slower and in segments, so I can actually interact with folks, answer questions, stuff, do little demos here and there. But right now, I'm just still kind of proofreading the slideshow, and I'm just trying to see how quickly I can get through this. Remember, when you go to the YouTube channel, and I encourage everybody that might be listening to this on Facebook, go type in The Music Compass YouTube and just subscribe, click the bell. You'll get notifications automatically when I do this in the future. But the cool thing about YouTube, as I said last time, is that even if I'm going bam, 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 bam really quick, you can go back and watch those videos at 50%, 75% speed. And I'm telling you, this series is a condensation of 20, 25 years of figuring out this method and having some really good success with it. So if you just, if you watch it over and over and slowly, however long it takes, you're going to end up knowing how to play chords on the piano and some chords on the guitar, even if you didn't know anything to start with. So blah, 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 blah. Let's get into it. Okay, and we'll go over here. All right, let's start the beginning. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So, let's see, okay, that works. So, welcome. Oh, let me go into presentation mode. Okay. Oh, no, not that. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's just try it a different way. Let's go back to this, and I'll just scroll through. Okay, welcome! It's not as easy as going one at a time to Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. I wish I could. Shucks! Here, folks, yeah, okay, we are just taking this a bit at a time. So here, let me get this figured out a little bit here. Why is that? Oh, darn it, excuse me while I reset this transformation and... Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay, now does it work? Da-da-da-da. Yeah, much better. Thank you. That didn't take very long. Okay, who's this for? This is for everyone, even you. If you have zero experience, let's see if I can get my little hand gestures in. See, I'm up here in the corner. Okay, even if you have zero experience, or if you have a ton of experience, or anywhere in between, then this is for you. There are people who can play circles around me, literally just flying on the fretboard, and I'm like, wow, you're awesome. And then they look at these things that I show them about why they're doing what they're doing, and they're like, oh, that's why I've been doing that all these years. Now it makes sense. Okay. But really, I did design this game to be enjoyed by people who have absolutely no prior knowledge of anything about playing music whatsoever. Okay. As much as possible, I'm using colors and shapes instead of blah, 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 lots of words to explain what's going on here. And for one thing, that's going to make it a lot easier when I translate this. Eventually, I'll translate it into French and Spanish. I've got some help on those fronts already, but my focus right now is Mandarin because it is so much fun. And yeah, I'm already diving into that and getting some feedback on that. So yeah, in future episodes, maybe I'll go through a chapter once, and then I'll try to do it in Mandarin just to practice. And yeah, just why not, you know? Okay, shapes and colors, that's what it's all about. Okay, in fact, none of this stuff that I'm about to show you is really even necessary when it comes to playing the game itself. It's going to give you a peek under the hood, though. It's the keyboard theory kind of stuff. After this intro course, you will have learned, speaking of keyboard theory, the keyboard notes. Yoo-hoo! What half steps and whole steps are. Yay! Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Beginnings of scales on the keyboard. And chords on the keyboard, which come out of that. And then we'll get into the guitar tuning, how that's all set up with respect to the keyboard, as you see. And then that'll help us construct your first open chords on the guitar. And when we get to minor chords, there are a couple where you're going to need to know what bar chords are, even if you can't do them yet. Everybody goes through the, oh, I'll never get to be able to play bar chords stage. But you know what? It'll happen. And then we'll learn about octaves on the keyboard so that we can understand what octaves on the guitar are. And then that leads us to the first part of the game, which is learning how to find all of the roots of caged. You may have heard of caged. Now, it might seem like a lot, but we're going to take it all step by step. Or rather, should I say half step by whole step? If you'll excuse the foreshadowing. Okay, quick pro tip for these first live streams and videos. I'm going to be racing through this as fast as I can. Like I said, it's like I'm playing a game with myself to get better and better at polishing and presenting this. So try to keep up if you can, but remember, like I said, when this is posted on the Music Compass YouTube channel, it's super easy to set the playback speed to 75% or even 50% to slow it down. And, oops. Oh, wait a second. I want to go backwards. Huh. Oh, I was just saying, I do this when I listen to my Monkey King audiobooks, which I got this really cool series of Journey to the West that has it in 3 languages, or kind of. It has the Hansa characters, has the pinyin that teaches you how to pronounce the characters, and has the English translation. And it has a YouTube channel that has audiobooks of all of them, so I can actually slow it down and listen. You see, old G. And I'm like, oh my god, I can actually understand it. Wow, that is so weird. So, anyways, long story short, YouTube speed settings are super, super helpful, whether you want to just race through something that people are kind of dawdling with, or in this case, if I'm going super quick and you just need to slow it down. Okay, so also, let me point out the first series of what I'm calling the basics is mostly the backstory to the game. It's not actually getting into the game quite yet. The very last lesson in this series will get us into those first pieces of the puzzle that will actually be placed and played. The whole thing about the game is if you play something on the fretboard, the playfield, pegboard sort of thing, you actually have to play it on the guitar. Okay? So, that's the way it works. So hang in there. And there's a lot more to come. Now, one final note before we get started. This is a lightning fast expose on the logic and the geometry of the fretboard as it relates to the keyboard theory that's looming in the background the whole time. This is not about the technique of how to hold your hands or make your fingers do what your brain wants them to. This is about teaching your brain how to understand this first puzzle in the first place. This fun puzzle in the first place. Okay, so with that, let's just have fun learning about the puzzle for now. And if you play just a tiny bit every day, then your fingers will catch up with your brain before you know it. I promise. Okay, that's the end of the intro. And Mom, what's going on?
I can't get anything on the TV.
Okay, folks, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go get the game started for Mom. Okay. It's playoffs! Mom, in the future I can't do this. Because I'm live right now. What's going on? I can't talk to you right now. I can't talk right now. Okay, and we're back. Okay, thank you for your patience, everybody. All right, let's see how easy it is to shut this one and go to the second one. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, they were all downloaded yesterday. Now, why in the heck would that not be? Okay, well, yeah, that's what we're here to do, is figure out what's going on. Okay, so let's see. We got, okay, chapter 2. Why did that not start there? Okay. All right. It's chapter 1. And why can't I go backwards? Oh, I can. Okay, I just got to swipe. Okay, so chapter 1. We're going to start at the very beginning. You got 2 black keys and 3 black keys. If you've seen my silly little 2 black key, 3 black key lesson of old, then count yourself lucky. Or not. Okay, you find 2 black keys, you go to the left side, that white key is a C. And then the other reference point I think is really easy, is that if you find the 3 black keys, those 2 white keys in the middle are where it ends and where it begins, G to A. I made a little Bilbo Baggins riddle. It's like, the first is the last, and the second is the first. Except I'm sounding more like Yoda than Bilbo. Is that called mixing metaphors? Okay, so anyways, it starts all over with G. You can teach little kids A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that point, they start laughing because you're being silly. But they remember that, hey, it's just the white keys just follow the alphabet. And once you get to G, you start all over with A. And that's about it for lesson two. Um, lesson one. I keep thinking it's lesson two because I'm not because of the intro. But anyways, we have flashcards, and if you send me the link or send me an email or send me a direct message or just a comment saying, hey, could you share the Google Slides with me? I have included all of the flashcards in the Google Slides. And we have worksheets too, so you can get those if you would like. All right, and then that. Now you know what, I can get this loaded here while I go back and say, hey, how are you doing out there? Let's go check and see if we've got any comments, anybody paying attention out there in YouTube land or Facebook land. Kind of hope nobody's on the computer right now because it's so beautiful outdoors. You should be out there and watching this later. Okay, so dun, 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 looks like we've got number 2 ready to go. Let's go into presentation mode. There we go. Okay, chapter 2, half steps and whole steps. Okay, so there's your 2 black keys again. A half step. You start here, you gotta go to the very next note. Doesn't matter if it's white or black. It's the one that's very, very next door with no notes in between. Next door neighbors, I call them. Those are half steps. 0 notes in between. Okay, as opposed to, look at there. Looks like they're right next door because the white's touching the white on the bottom there, but actually those are not right next door because they have those notes in between. So if there's 1 note in between, we call those whole steps. And really, that's about it. Look at, here's all the half steps. White to black to white to black to white to white sometimes. White, black, white. Notice there's never any place where you can have 2 black keys be a half step apart. That's one thing to keep in mind. Those are your half steps. Whereas whole steps, you can go white to white or white to black and then black to black, and those are whole steps. And you can even start whole steps right here. And then we got black to black and black to white and white to white, etc. Because all of those have just 1 note in between, so we call them whole steps. And once again, we've got both flashcards and worksheets. And not only that, we actually have a game. I made a half step, whole steps dominoes game. Now I'll even send you the card set and the rules to that. It's been a big hit. Why? Okay. Oh, there's Stella. Stella, who is now teaching at the School of Rock up in the Twin Cities. Pretty cool. Yeah, she was one of the first demo testers of half step, whole step dominoes. And just this weekend, I've got one of my young peeps named. Oh, did that not get in here? Huh. I thought that got updated. Anyways, my young friend Jasper, who you might have seen his picture on Facebook. Yeah, I'll have to have that. He actually embellished the rules, added a cool little twist to the rules, so now you can play it basic rules or Jasper rules. But that's half steps and whole steps. Okay, let's open up the next one. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Oh, while I'm doing that, I did say that I was going to put the Venmo codes into the comments. So let me do that. I need to put it in my Dropbox here so it shows up on. Oh, except shucks. Here. I'll have to open up Facebook here. On this computer. I had to turn off Dropbox on this Air because it's so old, like 4 gigs of RAM, that just Dropbox was maxing out the RAM. Okay, so let's see here. There's the Venmo. Let's put this in here just in case you want to help support the bus project. Yeah. Let's say, did I? Oh, I can't just drop that in there. Okay, let's see. Let's do a. Can I put a picture in a comment? I thought I could. Let's see. Let's do copy. Oh, gosh. That's ridiculous. Wow, that's weird. Okay, we're learning as we go here. We can do emojis or avatars or stickers, but you can't just drag. Okay, well, we'll figure that out later. No big deal. So let's get back to it. Okay, so now that's loaded. Chapter 3, sharps and flats. Sharps and flats, sharps and flats. Good for kids and dogs and cats. Can anybody name the song I'm making a parody of there? Okay, sharps and flats. That thing. Oh no, that wasn't immediately responsive on OBS. That's odd. Oh god. Ghost in the machine. Okay, anyways, there's a sharp. Looks like a hashtag or a number sign. It's all technically called an octothorpe. Thank you, Eli, for teaching me that word. A sharp is any time you go a half step up. Like here's your D. You go up a half step. We call that D sharp. The opposite of a sharp is a flat. If a sharp is a half step up, a flat is a half step down. So there's our D. Let's go half step down, and that is a D flat. So what does this mean? It means these black keys can have 2 different names. We can give them sharp names, C to C sharp, D to D sharp, F to F sharp, G to G sharp, and A up to A sharp. Or, go in too fast through that. Flashing back and forth, you can make animation. It's kind of cool. Okay, so then B can go down a half step to B flat, A down a half step to A flat, G down a half step to G flat, E down a half step to E flat, and D down a half step to D flat. And there you go. And of course, you know it, we've got flashcards for these and worksheets for these as well. Okay, boom, 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 moving right along, as Frog would say. Let's download Chapter 4, which is where we really start getting into the meat and the potatoes of it. And this is where you can actually start making some music. Dun, 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 dun. You know what? If you really are itching to kick something down on Venmo, you can just type it in, go the music compass LLC on Venmo, and that's all I need to say. I don't even need to link to Venmo. Everybody's got Venmo these days. And if you don't, that's okay. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Let's put that there. And let's put that in here too. Okay, let's go over to Chapter 4, Do, Re, mi. Okay. This is some animation I made. Look at my little seed turning into a sunflower. Why do I use that metaphor? Because that's where we get our roots. Our roots. Our root is called do in music. It's where everything starts. Look at that. That's how we get from notes to scales and chords, as you're going to see right away. The root is where everything starts and where everything connects. Do, re, mi. Let's actually get the key of C here. Man, I was right on. I do not have perfect pitch, so that was just kind of luck. Do, re, mi. 1, 2, 3. Do, a deer, a female deer. 1, 2, 3. Or it can be row, row, row your boat. Or it can be, let's go the other direction. Mi, re, do. Mary had a little lamb. That's the first time I see my little face up here overlapping with some pertinent information, but I'm trying to avoid that, but yeah, at least you can understand. Oh, let's zoom in on that. 1, 2, 3. Mary had a little do, re, mi. Why does it sound like do, re, mi? What makes do, re, mi? It's actually whole steps from 1, 2, whole step, and then 2, 3, whole step. That's what it has to be. So if you start with the key of C, which is where you start on the piano because it's the easiest place, you know it's going to be all white keys. Do, up a whole step takes you to re on the D. Up a whole step takes you to mi, do, re, mi, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3. But look what happens if we do it in the key of D. And what I mean by key of D, that means that you are actually putting your root note, do, do, I guess it would sound like now, do, 1, whole step up to re, look at there. But is that where mi goes? Think about it. No! Why not? Because E to F is not a whole step. That's a whole step, D to E, but that E to F is a half step. That will not do unless we want to be in the minor key, which is not me. We'll learn about that later. We got to move F up to F sharp, which is do, re, mi, do, re, mi. Yeah, and that makes it a whole step. E to F sharp, E, F sharp. Yay. Okay, let's try on E. Okay, we know that that has to go whole step, like it did before. E up a whole step is F sharp. And then where's the whole step up from F sharp? Think about it. Yeah, G sharp. Yeah, white to black, and then black to make our whole step pattern here. Okay, we'll go back to an easier one now. G. Let's see what it sounds like. G, A, B. That time we can stay on all the white keys, not all the white keys, but on only white keys to make do, re, mi, 1, 2, 3 in the beginning of key of G. A up a whole step is to B, white key, but then up a whole step is C sharp, a black key, and that's it for lesson, what are we? Lesson 4. Okay, let's add a little bit more to that. If you know how to go do, re, mi, well, it's not that much of a stretch to go to do, re. Let's get back in the key of C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Dun, 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 dun. Here we are. Okay. Do, re, mi, all whole steps. Let's widen our scope now to sol. Why do we need to go up to sol? Well, without sol, how could you go do, do, sol, sol? Let's try that again. Do, do, sol, ah! Responsiveness. Do. Ah, wait for it. Do, do, sol, sol. What song is that? 1, 1, 5, 5. You know this one. Twinkle, twinkle. Or maybe you said A, B, C, D. Or, if you will, ba, ba, black sheep. All of those start with 1, 1, 5, 5. Okay, well, is it going to be whole step again? Sorry, but no. That's where we have to have a half step for the first time in our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do, re, mi, fa, sol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4 is a half step, but then 4, 5 is a whole step. Okay. So let's do that on C. Well, we know that whole step is to re, whole step is to mi, but now we get our half step E to F, C, D, E, F, and then another whole step to G. Yay. D, do, re to E is a whole step. E to F sharp is a whole step, but F sharp to G, da 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 da, 3, 4, 3, 4, mi, fa, and then whole step at the end. Fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, D, E, F sharp, G, A. Let's move on to E, dun, dun, E, whole step, up to F sharp is re, up a whole step is mi on a G sharp, but then finally we get our half step, takes us to A, and then another whole step goes up to B, do, re, mi, fa, sol, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. Let's go to G, G, up a whole step to A, up a whole step to B, up a half step to C, up a whole step to D, and then finally, do, re, A is now do, A, up a whole step to B, up a whole step to C sharp, up a half step to D, up a whole step to E, and now we know how to do do, re, mi, fa, sol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in all 5 of the caged keys, C, A, G, E, D. Alrighty, and that leads us to chapter 6. Wish I didn't have to wait for these to load each time. That's kind of dumb. I had them all downloaded yesterday, but I am still figuring out why things stay downloaded or not. Maybe that's like online access or offline access. Maybe I should try that. Anyways, I'll figure that out on my own time. Meanwhile, here we go, chapter 6. Okay, now you are ready to know how to play major or minor chords on the keyboard, and you can do, let's see me when I'm talking to you. If you know how to play major and minor chords on the keyboard, that's like 80% of the chords you're going to need, even more maybe, to just play rock and roll and pop songs. And yeah, so like if you've made it this, if you make it through this, this next chapter, you'll know. I mean, of course, we're focusing on just the 5 caged keys, but you'll know the method for making a major or minor chord starting on any note you want. And wow, you'll be able to play, just put a little rhythm into it, you'll be able to jam some pop tunes. What do you know, just like that. Okay, so let's figure out how it's done. So there's our, let's get back in the key of C, or do, re, mi, fa, sol. Why is this helpful? Because we can now play chords. Wherever you find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you take out 1, you skip the 2 to 3, and you skip the 3 to 5, 1, 3, 5, ta-da! It's the major chord, the kind of happy, victorious chord. And then you don't change the 1, and you know what? You don't change the 5 either. You take that 3 and you move it down a half step, and what do we call it when we move down a half step? We call it a flat. So it's actually a flat 3. Do, mi, sol, 1, 3, 5 turns into do, mi, sol, 1, flat, 3, 5, and the victorious happy just turned into the woe is me melancholy, you know, is the duality of Western music, at least when it comes to harmony. Okay, look at there, animated flats. Okay, so there's our do, re, mi, fa, sol in the key of C that we just figured out. Let's take out the 1. Let's take out the 3 and let's take out the 5 and isolate them, and we've got ourselves the C major chord. Just like that. Okay, oh, and if we move that E down a half step to E flat, then look at that. The 3 just became a flat 3, and that is a C minor chord. Dun, dun, dun. Let's do the same thing with the key of D. D, E, F sharp, G, A. Let's take out the 1 is a D, the 3 is an F sharp, and the 5 is an A, and those are the notes to the D major chord. Now notice, now 3 is on a black key, so if we make that into a flat 3 for the minor chord, D, F, A, it's actually all white keys now. So boom, D minor. Let's do the same thing for E. There's our E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. 1 is on E, 3 is on G sharp, and B's the 5. And what do we do to make it from E major to E minor? We take the 3 and we move it down to G on the flat 3, and that's a E minor chord. Let's go to key of G, G, A, B, C, D. G is the 1, B is the 3, and D is the 5. Ta-da! There's our G major chord. And let's move the 3 down to flat 3. That's a minor chord in G. One more. A, B, C sharp, D, E. 1 is on A, 3 is on C sharp, and 5 is on E. 1, 3, 5 for A major. Move the C sharp down to C, and now we have A, C, E for A minor. Isn't that swell? Now we got C and C minor, A and A minor, G, G minor, E and E minor, D and D minor, and you've got all of the major and minor chords caged on the keyboard. And those are 10 of the easiest first chords you can play on the keyboard. If you learn just those 10, instantly you've got 10,000 songs out there you can play. Seriously. You know, it helps if you've got a sense of rhythm. And, you know, I can write out quarter notes and half notes and all that stuff for rhythm. But really, when it comes to rhythm, don't get bogged down in learning how to read music. Just think of it as a dance. Take a C chord and can you dance like da, da, da? Or can you go dun, da, da? Or you can go dun, 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 dun? Or you can go dun, da, dun, da, dun, dun. Just pretend you're dancing. Dun, 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 dun. And if you got a sense of that kind of grooviness inside of you, well, just learn those 10 chords, C, A, G, E, D, major and minor, and wow, you'd be rocking. Okay, here we go. Oh, so now you've got the foundation laid on the keyboard that we're going to take and start transferring over to the guitar. And this is where it starts to get pretty fun. Let's go and check and see if anybody's got any questions yet. Nope, no questions yet. Okay, so, oh, here's some more animation. Yay. Frame by frame animation. Look at that. Oh, opacity settings and zoom settings. There is our guitar fretboard coupled with our keyboard down below. So now you can see that lowest string is an E. You can see it on the lowest open string. And when I say open, that means you play that string without pressing down on one of the frets. You just pluck the string as it is. That lowest string is an E, and there it is on the keyboard. So you can play one. Hopefully it sounds the same. Now, if you go one fret up, if you press that one, just zoom up one fret, and now you've just made the string shorter, you pluck it, and it's gone up a half step. 1 fret up equals 1/2 step. And look down below. What's a 1/2 step up from E? It's F. Okay, so that means first fret on that string is an F. Let's go up another one. Up 2 frets. Now we got to go F to F sharp, the black key. Up 3 frets to the G, the white key. Let's go up 4 frets, G sharp, another black key. And then up 5 frets takes us to that A on the keyboard. And look what's going up on top here. That A is happening in 2 different places. Keep that in mind. We can say that E plus 5 equals A. That's sort of the way that I'm spelling it out these days. I'm kind of using little arithmetic equations. E plus 5 equals A. And actually we got a song coming up here pretty soon that uses those little equations. Look at that. There's 2 different places you can play A now. You can play A as E plus 5 on that E string, or you can just play the next string. And that's an A. So now we can go A plus 1 to the B flat. Keep following it down there below. So you can see we go up 1 fret, but downstairs we go up 1/2 step, takes us to B flat. Up 2 half steps takes us to B. Up 3 half steps takes us to C. Up 4 half steps takes us to C sharp. And look at there. Up 5 half steps, A plus 5 equals D, and that's the next string as well. So it's 2 different ways to get to the same note. Yay, A plus 5 is D. And then we go D plus 1 is E flat. D plus 2 is E. D plus 3 is F. D plus 4 is F sharp. And you guessed it, D plus 5 is G, which is the next string. Yay, it's all consistent, right? Nope, because look at here. Well, G plus 1 is G sharp, G plus 2 is A, G plus 3 is B flat, but wait for it, G plus 4, only 4 in this instance, is the B, which is the next string. So it's not up 5 every time. It's up 5 almost every time to get to the next string, but here we just go up 4. And I'll note that with some exclamation marks because that is going to be important, as you will see in future lessons. When finally we get to the last string, well, we're back to normal. B plus 1 is C, and B plus 4 is E flat, and once again, B plus 5 takes us to the next string, which is E. So look down below, we've gone from that low E all the way up to that high E by half steps, one at a time, almost in a consistent up 5 equals to the next string over way. Oh, forgot my little flash there. Okay, and I had to divide this into multiple sections. Oh wait, not that one. Let's do this one. You know, and that's just because the Google Slides. Okay, note to self. I gotta start taking notes here. I gotta make sure that these slideshows are downloaded and ready to go, so we don't have to wait around picking our nose while those load. And I think if I'm not going to be using the Google Slides, which I'm not here, I'm using Keynote. I don't have to have these lessons broken up. I had to like make it in 2, 3, sometimes even 4 sections. But I'm not going to have to do that if I'm not using Google Slides, for at least for the live stream. So just talking out loud here while we wait for the second part of the guitar tuning. Okay, so let's review. We got E on that string plus 5 equals the next string A plus 5 up is the next string D plus 5 frets up is the G, but then it's only 4 half steps, as you'll see down on the keyboard below and the fretboard above. It's only plus 4 this time that takes us to the next string B, and then plus 5 to get us to the E after that. Okay, so how can you remember these? Well, just remember eat. Come on, don't be jittery. Eat at Dave's. Get better eggs. Eat at Dave's, get better eggs. You might know the song. It's a little bit nicer than what one of my other students told me. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. And of course, that's the one that the kids remember most. Okay, let's zoom back out now. And now we are ready to be introduced to the game board that I've created for Dr. Zollatti's guitar game. Yay, isn't that colorful and nice and neat compared to the scribblings of many years in many ACE students. You know, I could just, let's go back here. Let's preload a bunch of these while we're at it. Let's go boop, 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 boop. Oh, it looks like some of those stayed loaded. Okay. Okay, now, why do we have that short jump, as I'm calling it? Okay, let's look at this. Is that, did I skip something? Nope, that's it. Okay, why do we have that short jump? That weird spot that, I thought I mentioned that. Let's go back to the game board. No, I guess I didn't mention that yet. Yeah, I call that the short jump from that B string to the G string. Now, why do we have it like that? Well, let's start. Put a root note on any fret. Here we got E plus 3 equals G, right? Look down on the piano. On the piano, there's only one way that you can go up to that next C. Look at half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps up, G to C, right? That's where the C is, 5 half steps. But look what happens. There's 2 ways to go up 5 half steps on the guitar. We can stay on that same string and just go up 5 frets, as we've seen. But we could also go in this other orthogonal direction, going up strings to go up the fretboard. And that's a little bit confusing because it looks like I'm going up that many strings, but I'm just pointing out directions, that there's the two different ways to go up. It's two-dimensional now. So remember, to get from that low E up 5 frets takes us to the next string. So that works not just from the low E to the low A, right up there, right? But it also works if we go back to that G, E plus 3, and if going up 5 frets from there takes us to C, well, if we stay on that same fret, we could go up 1 string, and it gets us to the same note. So look at, there's 2 ways to get and stay on the same fret. So basically, up 1 string on the same fret equals up 5 frets on the same string. It's starting to sound like one of those Bilbo Baggins riddles again, but usually, because sometimes it's not 5, sometimes it's 4. We're going to be beating that point home over and over. Okay, this works from B, up 5 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to E. Well, we can go up 5 frets on the same string to get to E, or we can just stay on the same fret and go up 1 string to get to the same E. Up 1 string equals up 5 frets. Usually. There's a song in the making there too. Okay, but why usually? Why usually? Why couldn't they just make it consistent, huh? Well, let's go to the next part of why the short jump. Look at that, all ready to go. Okay. E plus 5 is A. Dun, 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 dun. Let's get it in the right key. E plus 5. A plus 5 is D. D plus 5 is G. But remember, G plus 4 is B. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only 4 up on that string. Oh, why do they have to make it so weird there? I call this jump from the G string to the B string where it's only plus 4. I call it the short jump. I call it the weird spot. I call it the chasm. I call it the fault line. I call it the bump up spot. Whatever you want to call it, just know that that's the little glitch. I should have written that too. I call it the glitch in the system because without this little plus 4 moment, everything would be a completely consistent up 5 over 1 two-dimensional grid. What does this mean for our almost perfect grid? Let's look at all the ways we can jump from these caged root notes. Okay, so say we're going G up to C. Look at that, straight across. It sounds like Here Comes the Bride, by the way. Beginning of Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun. That's how you can recognize up 5 half steps. And if it's up 5 half steps, it's almost always just going to go up a string on the same fret. It's G up to C. Okay, let's go. E up to A. Here comes the bride. Oh, let's start on that A plus 7 equals E and just stay on the 7th fret. Go up a string to the D string. D plus 7 equals the A. E, A. All right. Let's go D, G, G, G. We could start on A plus 5 equals D, up to D plus 5 equals G. Same fret, up one string, D, G, G, G. And let's start on A plus 2, B, E, E, E. That's another plus 5. Dun, 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 same fret. 2nd fret on the A string to the 2nd fret of the D string. Dun, 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 dun. These are all the same distance, and look at anywhere you put them on the fretboard, just stay on the same fret and go up a string. Dun, 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 A, D, D, D. Okay, but look what happens. This is one of my favorite animations. Instead of staying on the same fret up one string, well, look what happens if we try to take that plus 5 jump from the G string across the B string. Jack, can we roll that back and see that again? Let's watch that again in slow motion. Look what happens if we try to move the A up to D from that G string to the B string when we jump the chasm, right? Look at that. Now it's not the same fret. It's up one string, but it's also up one fret to make up for the short jump, as it were. To make up for the short jump being plus 4 instead of the normal plus 5 like all of the other string jumps that we've seen here. Okay, once you can accommodate that little glitch in the system, then all of these patterns are just super easy to move around, up and down, sideways, forwards, whatever. Okay, so let's keep going. This is a long chapter, I know. Why the short jump, part 3. Okay, we call this jump from the G string to the B string, the short jump, the weird spot, the chasm, the fault line. Why am I repeating myself? Did I just do that one? Usually I'm getting ahead of myself. Right there I'm getting behind myself. Yeah, we're already in part 4. What do you know? Dun, dun, dun. So to finish the why the short jump chapter, why do they have to do it that? Why couldn't they just have made the G string go plus 5 to the next string? It wouldn't be the B string, like all the other strings. Why did they have to put that little glitch in there? Well, because then the strings would not be tuned. Eat at Dave's, get better eggs, like the plus 4 makes it. Well, if we put plus 5 at that G string like all the others, it would be eat at Dave's get cornflakes. Both the E and the F have to be shifted up a half step accordingly. So eat at Dave's get better eggs turns into eat at Dave's get cornflakes if we were to be entirely consistent with our three-dimensional grid here. And as you will see, this would be a nightmare when it comes to time to learn about how on the guitar we create, drum roll please, chords. Now we're going to start to get into some really fun stuff. So let's start looking at chords on the guitar now that you know how chords are working on the piano, and now that you know how the guitar is tuned. Well, it's all gonna make sense here in just a second. All right, so let's start out with building the E chord. Like I said earlier, C is sort of the home key, the easiest place to do stuff on the piano to start. E is sort of the home key on the guitar. That's the lowest string you can play, so it's just kind of like your foundation. Let's go see if anybody's got comments yet. Nope, not yet. Look at there. I wonder how much time it takes to get from here to Facebook. I'm still... What? Oh, it says the live video has ended. That's weird. Are we still live on YouTube? Looks like it. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Why does it say... That is so weird. Okay, the one Facebook page says live now, but the other one says list live. Oh, that is so annoying. Okay, let's refresh and see if we're still happy. Okay, that is looking good. And that is looking good. I don't get it. Okay, but anyways, looks like we are still live. It's doing it piecemeal again. It's so annoying. But it's just one of them. It's just one of the Facebooks is cutting in and out. Okay, if you're on Scotty Perry's Funhouse, my older spammed out Facebook page, it looks like it's cutting in and out. So maybe you'll want to go to Scotty Perry. Some of you are already on that one. That's the newer one. It's not as spammed out. Maybe that's the difference there. But again, I should be talking to you face to face here. Again, don't try not to watch this on Facebook. I mean, do if that's the only thing you like to do is be on Facebook. But go to the YouTube channel. It's much more reliable, and plus they're archived there, so you can go back and watch these. Like I was saying, watch them slowly and over again. It's just there. It's going to be way easier to find stuff, and obviously it's way more reliable because it does not cut in and out. Oh, look at, we have somebody else watching. Hi, person who just joined us on YouTube. Okay, so anyways, let's go back and stop talking and get into the real nitty-gritty. Now let's go back and talk to you some more. Okay, so a lot of people can teach you how to make the chords on the keyboard, you know, without reading music like I just did. And a lot of people will show you about the guitar tuning like that, but there's not too many teachers that I know that, even with beginners on their first day, if I feel like they're right there with me, I'll show them this next lesson that I'm about to show you. And this is really what I'm talking about when I say we're going to take a peek under the hood, you're going to understand why that you make an E chord this way. When you start guitar, you know, typically a teacher will be like, okay, put your finger here, put your finger there, put your finger there. Yay, that's an E chord. And you look it up online and you see that little chart that says these are the dots that make the E chord and the A chord and the D chord and the G chord and the C chord. But people show you the how, but they really don't often show you the why. And I'm going to show you the why of the matter here. I'm going to show you how come the E chord is that shape. To wit, check this out. Okay, there's building the E chord. Okay, there's our little array of graphics here. We've got the fretboard play field up in the top left. We've got a little keyboard to the right to demo stuff, and then we've got the little eat at Dave, get better eggs reference points on the keyboard below. Okay, so let's remind ourselves what that E major chord was that we've learned how to build on the keyboard. 1, 3, 5. Let's get in the right key here. 1, 3, 5, E, G sharp, B. Now on the piano, you're playing things. You start learning it by just playing those in the order, that close position like you're seeing on the keyboard there, the E, G sharp, B. But the way it happens on the guitar is it gets a little bit spread out right from the get-go. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's go through step by step, string by string, and look at each one of these strings and see if it's going to work for E major. Okay, that lowest E string, yes, of course. E is the root of the E major chord, so we don't have to press it down anywhere on any frets. We just let it ring the way it's tuned as an E, right? Yay, so that one works. But now look at the next, oh, and by the way, here's our little diagram. So that's where we show it on the picture. That's the 6th string, the E string, and that's the little open circle that means play it open without pressing it down on any frets. Right there. Okay, but now let's go to the next string, that A string. Well, is that part of our E major chord? No, it is not part of our E major chord. Our E major chord has E's and G sharps and B's in it, not A's. So what do we have to do? Well, we got to move that A string up 1 fret at a time until we find a note that is part of the E major chord. Okay, that first fret, that first half step takes us to B flat. Close, but not quite. It's not part of the E major chord. But if we go up 2 half steps, up to B, well, look at there. Now it is part of the E major chord. It's actually the 5th, the 5 of the chord. So we went from the 1 straight to the 5. There it is. And let's see how that looks on our guitar symbol. Boom. Up 2 there is up 2 on that string on the guitar diagram. Okay, next string. Dun, 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 dun. Is D part of the E major chord? No, it is not part of the D major chord, or the E major chord. So what do we have to do? Well, do we have to move it up 1 fret from D to E flat? Well, we do, but we have to keep going. We have to go to the next one. We have to go up 2 frets. D 2 frets up to E. D plus 2 is E, and that's another root of our chord. So we went 1, 5 to another 1 to make the beginning of our E major chord, as shown here and shown there on our guitar symbol. Yay. But now, let's go to that next string. Let's go to our next. You know what this reminds me of is 8-track tapes. Remember 8-track tapes where you'd be in the middle of a song and then it'd just fade out because they had to switch bands? Yeah, that's like this. We're midway through building the E chord and oh, we got to interrupt stuff. But okay, back to where we started. That didn't take too long. Let's look at that G string. G is almost a part of the E major chord, but not quite. All we have to do this time is move that string up 1 fret from G to G sharp, because 1/2 step up from G is G sharp. And yay, we finally get a 3 of the chord. 1, 5, 1, no, 1, 5, dun, 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 twinkle. No, I'm stuck on Here Comes Right. Twinkle, twinkle, 1, 5, E, B, E, G sharp, there's our 3. Yay. And so look at there. Now you recognize that is that E shape that you may have already been playing for a long time, but now you know why that is the way it is. Okay, and then from there on it's easy. Is the B part of the E major chord? Yes. So we can play it open without pressing it down in our little guitar symbol here. Yay, easy. And then same thing with that final E string. Yes, E is part of the E chord, so we don't have to mess with that one. And lo and behold, there is the guitar chord diagram for the E major chord, and it goes do, sol, do. Let's do this in real time. Swipe back. Do. Not a double swipe. Okay, here we go. Do, sol, do, mi, sol, do. Look it down on the bottom there. That's how you would play those actual strings as they're arranged for this chord on the piano. Do, sol, do, mi, sol, do. There we are. That's the E major chord. Hooray! All right, let's review this because it's pretty helpful. And I know we're getting into the weeds here. Oh, but wait a second. We have one more thing to talk about when it comes to the E chord. And this gets back to that Eat at Dave's Get Cornflakes thing. Why didn't they just be nice to us and make it +5 equals the next string for all the strings? Okay, now just as a little thought experiment, imagine if the grid were all... Ooh, there's a... there's a typo. We don't say imagine if the grid was, because when you imagine things, that's in the subjunctive mood. So for all you English geeks out there, I know I should have said imagine if the grid were all nice and even. I will go correct that probably at some point, but it's not on my front burner. Imagine if the grid were all nice and even and the G string did go up +5 like everyone else, right? Eat at Dave's, get cornflakes! Okay, well, think of how we just constructed the E chord from scratch. Can you imagine what you'd have to do? You'd have to move C up 4 frets to get to an E, and you'd have to move that F up 3 to the G sharp. So you'd probably need to have 2 pinkies, and one of them would have to be twice as long. Look at the chord diagram to the right there. Instead of having those last 2 strings be open, B and E, which made things really nice when it came to making that E chord, well, if we did have our consistent grid, then you could see how we'd have to make the chord, and that would be, like I said, a nightmare. So we learn about the glitch and we deal with it. We live with it. We live with that short string jump, and it's just much easier in the long run. Would you rather do this? Or would you rather do that? This or that? This or that? I know what I would rather do. So, boom, boom, boom. Am I going backwards here? I thought I was swiping forwards. Okay. Anyways, you get the point. All right, let's go to learn how to do our A chord now. We're going to do the same thing but starting on the A string this time. Remember our A major chord is A, let's get the A in our mind. A, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5 is now A, C sharp, E. So if we want to make an A chord on the guitar, we've got to make it so we're only hearing those notes when we strum the chord. Now, here's something to point out. Even though this low E string is part of the A chord, it's the 5 of the A chord. And to make things nice and solid, most of the time we want to have that root note be on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we don't want that 5 to be played on the bottom. We could, it's not going to sound terrible, but in general, you're not going to play it. We're going to put an X on that E string, and just when you're strumming, you just kind of miss that string. You don't strum that string if you can help it. And we're going to start on the A string. So, and obviously the A string is part of the A chord. It's the root of the A chord. So let's go over and look at our guitar diagram. Notice we put an X on that low string that we're not going to play. We put an O on the next string, the A string, that we are going to play without fretting it. So look at, we already got 2 strings down. Boom, ba-da-da. You won't even play that one. X. Okay, let's go to the next string though, D. Oh, I'm sorry, but D is not part of the A chord. It is not an A or a C sharp or an E. But look what happens if we go up one fret. We're getting closer. D plus 1 is E flat, but not close enough. We got to go up 2 frets. D plus 2 is E, and yay, now we'll take it. That 5 of the chord. Again, it starts out with 1, twinkle, twinkle, 1, 1, 5, 5, and there's where we put our dot on the chord symbol. Let's go to the next string. G is not part of the A chord, but A is. How do we get to A? Well, if we go up 1 fret, that gets us halfway there. G to G sharp. And if we go up 2 frets, then yes, we are back up to another root note, the A. Yay! Okay, let's put it there. And we're building up our A chord. Okay, let's look at the B string now. When we get to part 2, that is. Thank you for your patience, everybody. This is going better than last time, but we've still got some little things to iron out. Okay, part 2 of building the A chord. Well, last week on building the A chord, we got it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go to the B string. It is not part of the A chord. If we go up 1/2 step on B, look at that. B takes us right straight away to C on the keyboard there, because there's no black key in between B and C. So B plus 1 is C, and it's not quite what we need. So let's move that B string up 2 frets to C sharp. B plus 2 is C sharp, and there's our third. 8, 1, 5, 1, 3, da 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 da. And let's put that on our symbol for A major, and now you can see the A shape that we know and love so well. Again, that E string is part of the A chord, so we don't have to fret it. We will keep it open. And there is the A chord that a lot of you already know how to play, but once again, now you know why you play it that way. Yay! And let's go and let's notice that it's the same pattern of do, res, and mi, do, mis, and sols as the E. We don't get it, I mean, because we're starting on, we don't have as many strings to work with, we're not going to get as far, but it starts out the same way. Do, sol, do, mi, sol. It's the same progression. Do, sol, do, mi, sol. Down here below on the keyboard, do, sol, do, mi, sol. So now you can play the way that the guitar is making an A chord, on the keyboard if you play it down below there. Okay, and there's your A chord, or your A shape, as I'm going to be referring to it in general in lessons to come. Okay, so now it's time for another Dr. Zollatti thought experiment. Okay, and this is what I call the E shape to A shape morph lesson. And what I'm talking about is, look at this. We've got the E shape and the A shape. They both begin with do. They both go up to sol. They both go up to do. And they both go up to mi, and then sol, and then because. But look at that. Why are these shapes different? Why is mi in a different spot? I mean, why is mi only 1 fret up in the E shape, but it's 2 frets up in the A shape? It's all relative, right? We moved it over. Why did it change? I think some of you might even know already where I'm going with this. But I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Okay, check this out. You can move these shapes because it's an almost consistent grid. You can take any shape of a chord or a scale on this almost perfect grid and move it up, and it's going to be in a different key. It's going to be higher as we go, but it's still going to sound like the same type of chord, right? It's fine. We can move it up, down. We don't need to change it at all. But look what happens if we move it from left to right. Look at what happened to that mi. Let's look at that again. We had to bump it up 1 fret. I like this animation, so I'm going to rewind here and do that again. This is why it took me 4,000 slides to make this series, because I like doing these 1 frame at a time animations. Dude, look at that. If you move a shape from left to right, and part of it jumps from the G string to the B string, you need to bump that part up 1 fret. If oh yeah, look at, I did change that E shape to A shape. Caption below. Why? Why do we have to do that? Why do we morph the shape like that? The answer is in part 2 dun, 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 of the E shape to A shape morphification. Morphification, is that a word? I like it. Okay. Well, the answer is because of, remember, when you jump from the G string to the B string, it is the the +4 short jump. The fault line, as I'm calling it. The weird spot, the chasm. And you have to bump stuff up 1 on that string from where it would normally land as you're moving it across the fretboard anywhere else. Anything that jumps across that chasm has to go up 1 fret extra to make up for that short string jump from G to B. And, you got to reverse engineer when you're going the other direction. But, like when you're going down. Okay. Whew. Let's do that. Let's animate that. Woo. Woo. Back and forth. I know that's a lot to take in. But if you get just that one thing, then you've solved the geometry of the guitar, in my opinion, and the world is yours. And with that, let's build the D chord. Yay! Look at there, what chapter are we on? We're almost halfway through the series. Okay. Chapter 12. Anybody out there with any questions yet? I know I said I wasn't going to be taking questions, but I need to take a breath. Okay, and we're still on the same video on my newer Facebook page, I believe. Awesome. Oh, I spoke too soon. Yeah. That one of them, let's oh, dang it. Yeah, the same thing's happening on both Facebook pages. So, I don't know, that really bums me out. That wasn't happening before. And again, go to the YouTube page. That's just doing it in one nice swath. Jeez. Facebook. Is anybody even seeing their friends on Facebook anymore? I mean, yeah, like in their feed, or is it just like an endless stream of ads at this point? It's unbelievable. If it wasn't for this sort of outreach that I'm doing right now, there's no way I would be doing Facebook. It's just gross. It's sick. But you know, it's a way to reach people, obviously, for some good amidst. Yeah, I'll shut up now. Let's just build the D chord and go to my YouTube page. I just want to kind of grab everybody and take them over there where we can all be one happy family without being interrupted with stupid stuff. I just don't understand. Okay, I'll shut up. Let's go to the building the D chord, and then I gotta probably get teaching here pretty soon with real live students. Okay, so building the D chord, it's the same routine. We start with the D major chord. 1, 3, 5, D, F sharp, A, and we see how we can make that on the guitar. Now, the lowest string, the lowest root string that makes a D is the D string. So we're going to put X's not only on the E string, which isn't part of the D chord, but the A string, which is part of the D chord, but we want the D on the bottom. So we'll start with that one. And now look, we've got half of our chord symbol covered already. We got X, X, O is the way we do that. And let's examine the G string. Here we go. It's not part of the it's not part of the D chord, so we have to move it up. Not 1, G plus 1 is G sharp, but we have to move it up one more because G plus 2 takes us to the A. And there we go. Again, 1, 1, dun, 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 twinkle, twinkle, 1, 1, 5, 5. 1 goes to the 5 on the next string, shown like this. But you know, something's going to happen here for the first time on the B string, because obviously the B, oh, gonna have to go and go to part 2. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to consolidate all these for keynote presentations, since I only had to break these up for the Google Slides. Where's part 2? There's part 2. Okay. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by myself, what about this B string? We're going to have to do something that we haven't done quite yet. B is not part of the D chord, as you can see. It's not a D, it's not an F sharp, it's not an A. Let's move it up 1. B goes straight to C, plus 1. That's not part of it. What about B plus 2, up 2 frets, up 2 half steps? Now that takes us to C sharp, still not quite there. For the first time in our lessons, we have to actually go up 3 frets. And look at that, B plus 3 is D, and that's a root note, it's a 1. So yay, and that's why we put a dot right there on the 3rd fret for the D shape. And then moving right along, well, let's go to the E. let me look at that. Was that repeated? This is something I fixed the other day. It is! I thought I fixed those. For some reason, these slides got doubled here. So not only do I have to go consolidate stuff, but I gotta take out those extras again. That's weird. I could have sworn I fixed that in Keynote. Okay. There's our E note, our E string. And yeah, it's not just +1, which is F, but we got to go +2, which is F sharp. There is the note we need for the E chord, or D chord, sorry. And there's our D shape that we all know and love. That's a fun chord to play. It's one of the easier ones because you're only playing 4 strings and they're kind of smaller strings. Let's go back here and let's get the key of D in our head. D, A, D, F sharp. Starting out the same way again with even one less string, but just like the E shape and the A shape, it starts out with Do, goes up, D, Do, goes up to 5, Sol, goes up to Do, the 1, goes up to Mi, the 3. Look down below. Do, Sol, Do, Mi. The same thing on the piano. Yay, we're getting used to that pattern. But time for another thought experiment. Because just like we were examining the morphology from the E shape to the A shape, well, the same thing comes into play when we're going from the A shape to the D shape. Look at the A shape. Do, sol, do, mi, sol. And the D shape. Do, sol, do, mi. Those first 4 strings are do to sol to do to mi. Why are the shapes different? Well, as before, but when we move it over and we jump across that G to B string, we got to make up for the -1. Let's see that again. And that's why the A shape turns into the D shape when we shift that sequence over. Anytime we move from the G string to the B string, any part of the pattern that wasn't making that jump before has to bump up 1 fret to accommodate that short jump, and vice versa. It's all about the short jump. Okay, we are going to get farther than we did last time, I believe, because last time is when I ran out of time, and plus I got flustered because I was noticing that all of these Facebook feeds were getting interrupted. What I'm curious about is how long it takes from the end of one to get the next one, because the first one went 44 minutes and then got interrupted, and the next one went just 4 minutes, and then the next one was only 2 minutes. That is so freaking annoying. And I wonder if it was the same thing on the other one, on the other channel. Yeah, 44 minutes, 4 minutes. I don't get it. That's just so weird. Okay, but, that's neither here nor there. Because, let's see. Let's go to... Okay, let's do the G chord. We're going to get through all the cage chords today, and we might stop there. Okay, part 1 of building the G chord. Now, this is the first time that, well, since we need the G chord is 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, do, mi, sol, G, B, D. Notice, there is an open G string, right? But there's a better option to start with. We're going to use that one. Don't worry. We'll get back to that one. But it's not the lowest root. E plus 3 on that lowest string. Look at that on the piano. E up 3 half steps takes you to G. And so E on that lowest string up 3 half steps takes you to a low G. And we're going to start with that. We're going to actually start playing. We're going to use all 6 strings again. So we'll start with that lowest string, go up 3, and put our dot there. Yay! Let's go to the next one. We got to go A plus 2 to get to the B, right? Good, put it there. Okay, now let's get to a D. Well, we've got that open D string, so that works. Write it in. And then as we saw, we've got an open G string too, so we'll just write that in as an open string. And then there's the 3 on the B string that works just as it is. Don't need to change it. Don't need to change it. We can, we'll see. And then finally, E plus 3 is G for the high string too. So look at that. Do, 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 do. And there's our G chord, as some of you recognize already. Okay, down below and above. And I think there's a part 2 for this as well. All right. Wait! Guess what? There's another way. Check it out. That B, remember B plus 3 from that D chord? Remember B plus 3 is D. And that's part of the G chord. So guess what? We've got 2 different ways we can play the G chord. We can play it that way, as we just learned, but guess what? We could also play it this way. And it just sounds slightly different. It's still the G chord. We say it's voiced differently. It has another D in it instead of another B. So, you know, it's just 2 different ways of fingering it, and they sound slightly different. And sometimes you feel like playing one, sometimes you feel like playing the other, and it's really up to you. So now we've got the choice to go do, mi, sol. Notice now we finally have a go do, mi, sol at the beginning, unlike the others that were do, sol, do. Now we're going do, mi, sol, do, mi, and then do, skips up from mi to do. All right? Yeah, but that mi on the B string, we could move it up as we were just seeing, and then it's do. The other way is do, mi, sol, do, and then skips up to sol, do. So the 2 different voicings are just a matter of, is that B string playing a mi, or is that B string playing a sol? Just sounds slightly different, but it's still part of the G chord. Your choice. Sometimes you get to make choices. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's go and move to chapter 15. We've never gotten this far before. We're going to build the C chord, which is the easiest chord on the piano, the first one you learn, and here it's the last one of the caged chords we're going to learn, just in this logical order as I've been spelling it out. Let's hear what a C sounds like. 1, 3, 5, C, E, G. How can we make C, E, G? Let's skip the lowest string. Put an X on that E, because A plus 3, A up to C, up 3 halves to C, is where we're going to start. So A plus 3 is C. We'll put that one there on the fretboard and on our cymbal. And then we'll ask ourselves, well, D can be moved up 2 half steps to E on the piano and thus on the fretboard, and that's there. And then, fortunately, G is part of the C chord, so we don't have to mess with it. We'll write it in as open. And then B is so close. If we go up a half step plus 1, that takes us to C. Yay. So put it right there, and there, and there's our C shape. Because for the last string, we can just leave it alone, and there's our 3. Another 3, actually. So, we got Do is right here. Do, do, mi, mi, sol, sol, do, do, mi, mi. I was trying to mix it up, do one at a time on the piano and the fretboard in tandem, but there you go. Do, mi, sol, do, mi. And that's our C chord. All right, well, what do we do now that we've learned how to play those 5 major chords on Caged? Let's review them. Da-da-da. With that, we've now built the 5 chords of C, A, G, E, D, Caged. Woohoo! Congratulations. And there you go. We got the C chord, the A chord, the G chord, the E chord, and the D chord. C, we're going to make orange. A, we're going to make purple. G is green. E is blue. And D is red. That's one of the codes of the game, actually, that I don't explain as, in the rules of play. But like I said, this is the backstory. Now you'll have the secrets revealed. Woohoo! All right, learn those 5 chords, and you'll be able to play a lot of songs with just that. But, as you know, major chords aren't the only chords out there. There's a lot more, but the other main one that you need to know is how to play minor chords. Some of those caged chords are pretty easy to make minor, but some of them are not. Okay, loading. What about the minor chords? Well, yeah, that's what I just said. What about the minor chords? Okay. How do we make those? Well, remember, the major chord is 1, 3, 5, and the only difference is that it now goes 1 is the same. 5 doesn't change either, but 3 goes down to F step, flat 3. Do, mi, sol becomes do, mi, sol. Here's the secret code. Another little secret code for the game. When you're seeing these dots with the game pieces, the big dots are going to be the roots, right? And since that 5 is the other one that doesn't really change, we're just going to make those small. But the 3s are going to be different. If it's open like that, that's how you can tell it's a 3, the small open dot. But if it's a flat 3, we're going to show it as an open dot with a slash. That's how you'll tell where those flat 3s are. Okay, so now we know the color codes, C, A, G, E, D, and we know let's call it the tone codes, 1, 3s, and 5s. Those are going to be part of the game scheme. Okay. Let's go. Gosh, we're already on chapter 18. Can you believe it? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's see how we can go from E major to E minor. That's actually pretty easy, actually. Let's go to presentation mode. Because remember, the only thing we have to change is the 3. So there's our E major, and you'll remember that major has do, sol, do. Let's get in the right key. Do, sol, do, sol, do, sol, do, sol, do, mi, sol, do. The only one that needs to change is mi, and there's only one of those notes. Look at let's put the big dots on all the do's like that. This is the first time I've looked at this for quite a while, actually, so kind of forgetting how it goes here. Okay, so there's the big dots on all the do's, okay? You got them? Now let's put the small dot on the fives, there and there. And look at, the only thing we have left is that 3, me. That's all we have to change to make the major into minor. Look at how we do it. How does major become minor? The 3 becomes a flat 3. Goodbye 3. Hello flat 3. And look up there. Notice the 3 just goes down a half step, 1 fret. We did have to press it down on 1, but now it goes down to the open string to make that flat 3, and that's why the E minor looks like that. There's your E major, and there's your E minor. Boom, boom, boom. E major, E minor. Easy as could be. That's the only difference. Okay. Same thing when we talk about making the A into A major, or A major into A minor. Okay, there's your A major. There's do. Let's get the right key. Do, sol, do. Jittery. Do. Oh, there's a mistake. Okay, we gotta fix that. I'm missing a slide, so I'm gonna write that one down. I didn't take notes while I was going this time. Okay, but let's see. Notes to self today are combine the partial keynote presentations. I'll have to leave the Google slides the way they are. Fix the duplicates in building D. And then looks like A major to minor is skipping a slide. 4,000 slides, I'm going to be okay with doing a fix here and there. I'm not complaining. I'm just talking out loud. Okay, but anyways, A major goes do, sol, do, mi, sol. Let's put our big dots on the do's. Boom. There you are. Let's put our small dots on the soles. And once again, we only have one string that's playing the third, playing the 3, playing the mi. So how are we going to fix that? Well, we got to put a flat on there, which means moving it a half step down, which means moving it 1 fret down. And look at that. That's how we make our A major into an A minor. A major, A minor. There you go. It's the only difference. Beautiful chord, A minor, by the way. Learn it. It's actually easier to play than A major. It's just easier to get your fingers down there when they're offset like there. Instead of the 3 in the row, I mean, it's conceptually simpler, but it's actually a little harder to play, squeezing your fingers in side by side like that. Okay, there's one more easy minor to make. Okay, and that's the D. So once again, we've got major, do, sol, do, mi. Put the big dots on the ones. Put the little dot on the sol. And once again, there's only one string that has the mi on it, on that 2nd fret. So we're going to scoot it down 1 fret to the 1st fret, and that makes our 3 into a flat 3, and that's why D major becomes D minor. Dun, 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 dun. D major, D minor. Does it have a mi or a may? I know those vowels look counterintuitive to us English speakers. Mi is not my, it's me. And me is not me, it's me. That's because these syllables come from Italian. Yay. Okay. I got students coming in 20 minutes, and looks like my battery's running out anyways. I didn't plug in my computer. But let's at least get through the G major to minor experience, because this is where it gets hard. No. There's our G major chord. Let's get in the key of G. G. And remember, this one goes do, mi, sol, do, mi, do. We'll do the first version with that open B string. Okay, there's our one on do's. Oh, did I miss? Let me see here. I think I skipped a slide there too. Oh no, it was just a jittery swipe here. So one, do, do, do. Okay, those are all the ones in the G shape. Okay. Let's put our 5 down next on the sol. Okay, but check this out. Oh yeah, and there's the alternate possibility on the B string, if you will. So if you play it that way, then that's going to be a small dot on that one. But we're just going to stick with the first one here, the regular version. Okay. So there's a 3, open dot, and there's a 3, another open dot. And this is hard to make the 3 into a flat 3. How are we going to move those down a half steps? Well, that one, we can't even move it down a half. Well, I guess getting ahead of myself here. What are we going to do with these 3s to make them flat 3s? This one would be awkward to finger to move it down a half step. We could, but it's just weird. That's going to be really hard to make. And plus, those 3s, making them flat 3s down below there so low, it just sounds kind of muddy and not so terribly easy on the ear. And that one, this open string, it's literally impossible to move that down a half step. You can't go to a -1 fret. Okay, so we're going to have to take stronger measures. Oh, and what are those stronger measures? Sorry, you know what's coming. Yes, it's time to learn about bar chords. Oh, no, not bar chords. No, sorry. Okay, let's talk about bar chords. We have to have the talk. And, let's go to part 2 of this lesson. Lesson 21. Can you even believe we made it that far? It's a marathon session. Okay. Okay, so how do we do bar chords? Well, just like we can say E plus 3 is G when it comes to just that single note on that string, right? We've done that a lot so far. Well, we can also say that the E minor shape, there it is, the E minor shape plus 3 will make a G minor shape, a G minor chord. The root is what gives the chord its letter name. G is the root of the G chord. G is the root of a G minor chord, right? That's what it means. So look at all those roots, those big dots. If it's an E chord, we know those big dots are going to be E, right? But look what happens. We're going to shift that whole shape up a half step, moving our hand all the way up. Well, not all the way up, up 1 fret, but all relatively together. And now those big dots are now on Fs. So that makes that same E shape create an F minor chord. E minor plus 1 would be F minor. Let's keep going though. I'm not even going to write that down. We're going to move this E shape up too. Now the big dots are on F sharp. So that's an F sharp minor chord. if we use the E minor shifted up 2, but we're going to keep on going. We're going to move that E minor chord up 3 half steps, 3 frets. Now the big dots are on G's, and that E shape is now making a G minor shape. E minor plus 3 equals G minor, and that is a bar chord. And you just do it. Since we're having fun here, it's like this. You play that E minor chord. You don't have to play those open strings right here or here, or here. Sorry, I'm kind of. So you play that E minor, right? When you scoot that up, well, those 3 open strings are still kind of stuck down here, so you use this finger to kind of imitate what that thing's doing. You take that, it's called the nut, by the way. Well, now you move the nut up with this, and that's why you make a bar with it, and you call it the bar chord. And that's F minor, and then F sharp minor, and then E minor plus 1, 2, 3 with the bar is G minor. Don't worry about it if you can't do that physically. Like I said, this is not a course in teaching you the technique of how to hold your hands and make these things happen. This is all about just conceiving of what's going on in the first place. And you just do this a little bit every day. Your fingers are going to get stronger. You're going to get calluses on your fingers. You're going to get this muscle memory of what to do. Trust me, just do a little bit every day and you'll go a long way. Okay, what do we got now? We got one more lesson I'm going to give you, because we will do the same thing for the C major to C minor. Lesson 22. Can't believe we made it this far. All right, last lesson for the day. C major to C minor. Oh, got to go over to here. Good. It's the same issue. Look at our C minor chord. Or, ooh, that should be C major. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Gotta fix that. Oh, I've got more fixes, just like last time. But that's why we're doing this. This is the test run. This is me looking for typos. And now we have a typo. That should say C minor should be C major. And what lesson are we in? Like 22, I believe. Okay. So, yeah. What's going on here? I lost my monitor. Escape. Okay. Escape again. Okay. C major, it should say, is C, do, mi, sol, do, mi. We want to make that minor. There's our big dots, the ones. There's our 5 for the sol, our little dot. And then those mi's get little open dots. And it's the same problem. One of them's awkward, one of them's impossible. You know, you can't scoot that down any more than open. And that one will just be, can you imagine trying to fingering that if we scooted that down a step? So, yep, we gotta make another bar chord. Woohoo! Yeah. 3 equals C on that single string. Then we're going to move the A minor shape that we just built, a couple lessons ago, up 3 a couple lessons ago, up 3 to make C minor.